How is everyone? We are about to be into 2020. Check this out. I hear from a lot of school owners. We talk to you guys every day. That's kind of our jam. And I hear about January and how January is coming. You probably shut down most of your dojo for the month of December in hopes that January is going to bring you the students that you need to keep pushing through the first part of the year or the second quarter even, to help increase your revenues, to help pay some bills, to do all those things. And a lot of it is based on wishful thinking. It's hoping and praying that people are going to come into your academy because it's January, because everyone has their New Year's resolution, because everyone wants to lose 10 pounds. Now, I'm not saying that that isn't a motivator right now for some people, but what you got to understand is that a lot of brick and mortar businesses, which is the category we fall into, have gotten a whole lot smarter about their marketing, about social media, about Google, about their website, about their GMB. They've gotten smarter, right? And so it is highly possible that the students you thought were going to come in are now navigating their way somewhere else, or navigating their way to a Gold's Gym or an LA Fitness, whatever you've got in your area. And so those numbers that you were dependent upon may or may not happen. Okay, has anyone ever been in that spot where you didn't get as many people as you thought you would based on a certain situation or time of year, right? So I'm going to share with you our predictable, this is predictable, okay, Rebekah, this is what we want to add this month. And then we can reverse engineer to make sure that we're doing the right things to get to those numbers. And I'm going to share these data, these metrics with you. I know metrics isn't a fancy, sexy word, but if we want to grow profitable academies, then we got to consider ourselves business owners and look at these numbers to make sure that we are headed in the right direction. That's the only way I can truly help you, okay? So now you probably don't have this information handy right now, and that's totally cool. I'm going to give you some examples, and then you go back into your stats, your books, logs, and fill in the numbers, okay? That's what I want you to do. That'll be a little bit of a homework assignment. I am all on board to help you build a profitable school in 2020. So check this out. Here is our predictable way, and I hate to use predictable way, but it's pretty much the truth. Predictable way of adding new students. Now, this is just for the new students part. This isn't for the retain and the scale part, okay? But this is for the growth part of one of our columns that we are trying to do for our schools that we partner with. All right, so the first question we got to ask is your total number of leads. This can be from a website inquiry. It can be from a Facebook ad. It can be from a referral. It can be from any type of platform, right? Any source you want to bring them in from, but we got to gather the total number. Now, when we get really nitty gritty, we'll look at the total leads from each platform to see who is bringing us the better quality, the most profitable leads. But that's another story. So let's just stick to this whole number here. The next question you got to ask is how many appointments. Now, if you don't have a selling process, a way to take someone who's interested in your school to actually becoming a student, and I'm not talking about just putting them into a free class, I'm talking about an actual selling process, then that's another conversation we need to have too, but I highly, highly, highly recommend you have a sales system in your gym. So when we have leads come in, our next step is to book an appointment. We call it a VIP tour. So they come into our academy for this VIP tour. And I'll tell you the percentages of what we like to see on these numbers, okay? The next thing is the number of show-ups. Now, I would absolutely love it if 100% of the people that said they were gonna show up showed up. That's just not realistic. That's not where we see the data. So I will show you what our numbers are and where we try to get these numbers to. The next question is the number of closed students. Like how many closes? A close is meaning they went from a prospect to a buyer, a student. They paid you some type of money to start in your program, okay? So here's where we like to see these percentages at. And I will try to keep this orderly, but my scratch stuff kind of gets messy sometimes. So total number of leads, let's just say that we have 100 leads come in, okay? 100 leads we've generated off of social media, off of Google ads, referrals, wherever. We gathered up 100 leads. Now, our goal of scheduled appointments is 60%, which puts us at 60 leads, right? We're gonna keep whole numbers here so I don't have to do a whole lot of extra math. So we got 100 leads come in, we had 60 scheduled. How did we get these 60 to schedule? Well, we've got automation that helps us. We have nurture campaigns of text messages and emails that go out automatically as soon as a lead opts in. We also have people that pick up the phone within 5 minutes to contact that lead and say, hey, I saw you were scheduled in our Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu program. Do you remember that? And set them up for an appointment. That's how we're getting people onto the board, okay? Next is our show up rate. Now, we can see this number range anywhere from 20 to 45%. Yes, I know that that is a huge difference. 20% and 45% is a whole heck of a lot different. And honestly, this just depends on how well and how often you communicate with the lead. So we're gonna be conservative here. We're gonna kind of split it in the middle. We're gonna put 35%, which means 21 leads, 21 prospects, 21 people who think that your services can help their lives are actually going to walk through their doors, okay? And the last number is how many do we close? How many do we actually take from prospect to student, okay? And there's steps in the middle that we teach our people. So how many do we close? Now, we like this percentage to be at 80%. 80% is our goal, which means that if 10 people walk in, 8 people will become a member. But I'm gonna be conservative here as well. We're gonna put 60%. So if we close at a 60% rate and 21 people walk in our door, then we can see 12.6 of them becoming students. So now let's talk about how do we reverse engineer this number. Pretty simple, right? Here's the thing, guys. A lot of people automatically think they need more leads, right? My first response in there is, well, let's talk about 2 things that we can increase here, right? We can increase closing percentage. If we get that number up to 21 or 80%, that means that this now becomes, I'm gonna put a line through it, this now becomes 16.8. Well, that's a whole heck of a lot difference. That's almost 5 more students for the same amount of cost per lead. It's a whole lot difference by just increasing this to 80%. What other number could we increase here? Okay. What about this number here? Could we increase show up rate? If we know that we can get this percentage as high as 45, almost 50%, what if we gave them an extra phone call to remind them about their appointment? Could we increase the show up rate? Well, absolutely we can, right? Could we send them a video that kind of warms them up about our program, a specific message video that is solving specific problems that they already told you about? Could that increase show up rate? Well, absolutely. So if we get that 35% up to, let's say, 45%, now we're at 27. So we increase this number here to 45%, and that equals 27 showing up, right? And then this number increases. I'm gonna draw here. Told you guys I'm a little tricky with my draw board here. But let's say that we close 80% of those, right? 27 times 0.80. Well, now we're at 21.6 new students. So here's what we got to do. Here is how we predictably analyze with the data that we gather of what our numbers were this past month to see what we can adjust or add new to get the numbers to where we want them to be. So if you want 20 students, right, then this is a perfect example of how you can help make that happen. Now, if you don't have a lead source, if you don't have a sales process, well, then we got to talk about those holes first, and we got to fix those holes first. But I would urge you, go back to your logs, your data, and try to put this number together. In fact, post it below this video, and we'll help you work through some of that to make sure that January isn't just like, let's pray and cross our fingers and hope that people come in, but we are actually doing the things, making the calls, setting the appointments, getting the people in the door, hitting the sales numbers to actually reach those numbers. And this is our first step. This is our first step to growing our academies. The next step is retain, right? Like, how do we go from grow to retain? And then after retain, the next question is scale. Because I can guarantee you it's a whole lot different managing 80 students than it is 200 and still feeling like you're managing 80. That's a whole other question that we got to answer. But hopefully this kind of equation of how we work our numbers shows you where your holes might be, and then we can help you fix them. Post your questions below and we'll help you work through this, or put your stats below and we'll help you work with that too. You guys have a super awesome day. I got to get to GMF. But Happy New Year to you. I'm excited you're in here with me in $1 Million Dojo. Our goal is to always help you grow your academy with high paying students. That's a whole other part of this. We can't just add new students. We got to make sure that these students provide value to your academy, which I'll never stop talking about. Even if you get sick of it, just leave the group. All right, guys, y'all have a super awesome day and we'll talk later. Bye.